All right, we got two Hemsworths for the price of one in the jungle fighting. Yep. So we're going to talk about The Land of Bad up next on the Entertainment Jungle.
That's a fighting around the world.
I'm not doing a bad Australian accent. So this movie was recommended to us by somebody. So if anyone out there has a movie that they would like us to watch and talk about and critique and love on or rip apart, let us know. So this one was
how high.
yeah. Just tell us what to watch, and we'll watch almost anything. But this one was a recommendation.
Not me.
Nice.
I'll turn it off.
I don't think so.
That is true.
Said
We'll have to
almost
convince.
anything.
We'll have to convince Walter. But this one is The Land of Bad. It released recently on Netflix, and according to IMDb, a U.S. Army Special Forces unit is ambushed during a mission to retrieve an intelligence asset, and their only remaining hope lies with a remote Air Force drone operator assisting them through a brutal 48-hour battle for survival, which I think is actually pretty close for IMDb, to be honest.
Yeah,
with
that's about the best IMDb description I've heard.
So, this is starring Luke Hemsworth, his brother, Liam Hemsworth, or the other way around. We'll get into that in a second. And Russell Crowe, which I have a couple questions about. So I want to start off with some overall thoughts on this one. But before, I want to say I didn't have many notes for the whole first hour of this movie, and that's not a bad thing.
Right.
Well, we could talk about like plot versus what was just like happening. So I'm gonna start with we all know why with Ryan on what he thought, what his overall thoughts were, and then we can get into some specifics on this one.
I know that I have a bit of a reputation as a Liam Hemsworth hater, but I didn't mind this movie, and I didn't mind Liam Hemsworth in this movie. I thought that everyone did a pretty nice job. It was fairly straightforward. Kind of like probably why IMDb was able to nail it down so easily. It was just guys go on a mission and it goes haywire, goes bad, and trying to get out of there. So I thought everyone did a nice job. I overall didn't mind this movie.
Right. That is true. That was why I had no notes. The plot, there's no twisted and turning. It was pretty straightforward. So
it was just like, oh, things are gonna go bad. Oh yeah, no, they won't go bad. Okay. Oh, what are you gonna do now? All right, figure it out.
All right, so let's see. Walter, what do you got? Overall thoughts?
Same thing. I actually enjoyed this, surprisingly. I thought I was going to hate it. I'm not a Liam Hemsworth fan either, but that wasn't something enough to deter me. But it was actually decent, and just like you guys are saying, very straightforward, which was very enjoyable. None of this random twists, no trying to trick you anything, just a lot of action, a lot of torturing, and they actually all did pretty well acting, so enjoyable.
That's true. I did think, and I'll ask you in a second if you thought it wasn't going to be straight the whole time. But let's get 66's overall thoughts first.
I kind of agree. I really thought that I was going to hate this movie. I think the worst part about this movie was the title, honestly, and the whole description about, oh, this is the land of bad. Like, I honestly, I thought that here's the thing. I got to the like 80% through the movie, and I'm thinking to myself, all right, like, it's not a great movie. It's really not a great movie, but I actually started to feel something for the characters. Like when Peter Petrelli or Jess from Gilmore Girls, whatever you want to call him, when he gets shot in the head, I actually felt something. And that's saying a lot, because there's a lot of Netflix movies, or a lot of movies in general, even in the theaters now, that you just don't get that emotional connection to characters. There's no character building. And even though this plot was super straightforward, like you guys have said, man, I actually was kind of invested in these people. Even if Liam Hemsworth isn't the best actor and he's just like the same person the entire movie. So, dude, I don't know. I was on the edge of my seat. It was suspenseful. It was enjoyable. I felt a connection to the characters. And Even John Goodman was great in the chair. So this is good.
John Goodman. That's messed up. Hey, it's so interesting that you're saying that the character development, because Peter Petrelli or Jack Pearson, whoever, like you said, whoever you want, whatever character you want to pick, they didn't really do much character development. There was no reason for you to go, okay, yeah, he has a family to go back to, anything like that. But you did feel it, and you wanted him to win and survive. So it was interesting how they did it.
Somehow, you're right, Walter. I don't know how they did it, but they did. And I think it goes back to either it's got to be writing or directing. I don't know who, but man, there's been so many terrible movies. Ryan, can you speak to this at all?
Milo Ventimiglia, he is by far the best actor of the soldiers in this movie. Far and away the best actor. And I think that's why you were able to feel for him more than it, because he's always been a guy that he can convey all of the emotions, all of the things that you want to feel, even with just a look, even just
Shug, right? We're talking about Shug.
Shug,
Petrelli. Okay,
yeah. Rocky's son, whatever.
Rocky's son.
Rocky's son was yeah.
But he, even just the moment where he's like, "You ready for this?" And Liam's like, "No," and he's like, "You ready?" He's like, "Always." But then he still just takes that second of just he just has that ability to sell you on every single moment, and that's why he was a big part of why I thought hey, this movie might be all right. And then early on when I thought they eliminated him, I was like, oh my god, this is gonna be terrible. And I truly jumped up when he came back. I was like, yes, this is about to get really good.
Well, that's going to bring me to a point, but I really want to hear what Cornelius thought about this movie, because I have a question for you guys about that. But Cornelius, what are your thoughts?
Well, I don't want to echo all of you, but I also thought the same thing. I had no expectations going into this, but then my note at the very beginning was I had no notes because I was just like, oh, shit's just happening. I was like, all right, I'm along for the ride. Let's go. Just because we all said the same thing, there was one thing that I did the only thing I wrote down early on was they had really good communication the whole time. So why did he have to go into the field with them? They had good communication and eyes on the field. So I didn't think he was a necessary part of the mission, but then he became one. So that also ties into what 66 is saying, where you didn't really get much. They were trying, with the picture of the family and the helmet and a little bit about Russell Crowe. They were trying here and there.
The second they did that, you knew he was done.
True.
Actually, yeah, maybe. So I think they tried a little bit, but then once everything, like I said, hit the fan, you were just then I think the intensity, which I also wrote down, of that first firefight brought you in. At least it brought me in. And then I was like, okay, let's see where this goes. And I was very happy, not to jump to the very end, that Russell Crowe's character wasn't fucking evil behind the scenes. Because I would have lost my shit. No, but I was like, no, I didn't. I was like, please don't put any weird twist on this movie. I was just please just let it be straightforward the whole way. That's how I felt.
How would they do that?
That would have been crazy. He was such a good guy the whole time.
I know. I was like, please don't let anything happen. Just let it go.
But they painted him very much as the standard soldier who, the only reason that he's not farther along in his career is because he actually cares and has the moral compass. So it would have been a real 180 if out of nowhere it was no, he's bad. I would have lost my mind if they did that. That would have ruined it. But
that's what I'm saying. And we all talked about the acting. I know 66 joked about it. I thought Russell Crowe did an amazing job. It is so hard to sit in a chair for 2 hours and make it a compelling character.
Well, maybe not for him anymore. He probably sits in his chair and eats Cheetos all day.
Damn.
I'm sorry, Russell Crowe. You look better than I ever have in my entire life. So I can't come at you, but John Candy, bro. Oh, no, wait.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the moment where when he's talking to Liam Hemsworth and Liam's not responding because it's after everyone had just been eliminated. He's freaking out and he's talking. He's like, all right, well, you're going to have to go now. And then there's no response. He's just like, what's going on? What? Why isn't he talking to me? And the girl next to me, he's freaking out, man. He was like, oh.
And she told him, she's like, calm him down.
Yeah, you gotta talk him down. He's like, all right.
And then his
gotta go,
calming
son.
down
You gotta
wasn't
go.
really calming. He was like, "Oh, you're from Ohio?" He's like, "You gotta go now, bro."
You
Like,
gotta go, son.
I was like, "Damn,
It worked though. It
It
worked.
did work.
Got
It
him
did
going.
work. That's true."
He basically called him a pussy without calling him a pussy.
Yeah, he was just like, "You
Well,
gotta go."
he gave him that. He gave him the hope. He said, "Hey, I just got word that the bird is heading towards the evac site." So
yeah.
that was the thing that got him moving. Is it was like, "Hey, there's a
No,
light
it
at the end of the
didn't.
tunnel. You just gotta move."
He laid there. He still laid there. Even after that, he's just like, I'm done.
You
I'm
know what
done.
though,
I'm done."
dude? Like you know what made it was that he was obviously not prepared for this situation. Even though
Yeah.
he's like jacked, he was not prepared for this, and and so it kind of put me in that position, just a completely less in shape human in that position, where I was like, man, if I was in that position, I'd be scared out of my mind to just get up and go, because you don't know. RPG, gunshot, boom, done.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that for me was part of what I enjoyed about this role, because like I don't think that I buy Liam Hemsworth as like the cocky, arrogant guy that always has it figured out. But like when he's this guy, where he's just kind of like in over his head and a little bit terrified, I'm like, I buy that.
So he's not the
I mean-
Witcher. Got it.
Oh, he is
Oh.
not in my eyes.
Sorry,
I thought-
sore subject.
I was well, not yet, not till we watch it, but
No,
I agree. The only part that like even the part like when he was like getting tortured by that guy and he was trying to like tell him about the bombs, like I thought he did a pretty good. That's a hard thing to play too, like you're not
Yeah.
getting tortured. So it wasn't like it took me out of it. I thought he did a good job there too. So
He did.
maybe he found his kind of niche. He needs to be like just go, run and gun.
I
He was kind of
definitely.
stoic the entire time. So
Yeah.
Well, no, that's what I mean. Like, don't ask too much of him.
right.
Don't
But,
ask him to act.
Give him like a Milo
Just be there.
Ventimiglia that can actually carry the weight of the acting, and let Liam just kind of like be there in his shadow. Like, okay, I can be here also.
Just take direction. Don't talk.
It's like, all right, you're gonna have either Russell Crowe or Milo Ventimiglia talking to you at all times. You can handle that, right? You just got to be there. They're gonna handle the heavy lifting. He's like, great.
So, go ahead before I ask
No,
my
I was-
question.
Am I the only one that was hoping he died by the end of the movie?
Nah,
Yes.
I was all in. I was all in
Really?
on it.
No, you're the only person, I think.
Oh, okay.
That's why I said yes.
Well,
No, I was hoping.
Yeah, you're the only one.
I
I
was
hoping
gonna
he,
ask.
not anyone else.
Wait, who?
No, I said I wanted him. Liam Hemsworth.
whatever it
I
is.
wanted his character to die, not anyone else.
Nah, I wanted it to work out for all of them. I mean,
Not him.
obviously, it didn't, but I was not rooting for anyone to get. Although,
Even
like I
Shug.
mentioned,
I wanted Shug to make it, man.
I wanted Shug to make it. I knew he wasn't going to though, because again, like
Yeah,
in order for it to carry the weight, it's like, well, Milo's
Yeah.
gonna get got,
Yeah.
right.
especially after he came back and he's like, "We're gonna do this thing, man. I got this." And it's like, oh crap, he totally doesn't.
He totally doesn't. Before I get into my serious question, I did have a question here for Ryan, which was, did you like Hemsworth like getting the short end of the stick the whole movie?
Oh,
he
yeah.
was like
Although up until the end, like once he and Shug team up like to go back into the facility, he turned into kind of a badass there.
yeah.
Like from that point
But-
on, like he became he really held his own. Like he was like, oh, he knows what he's doing. He's not as experienced as the other guys, but he showed that he had the skills and the training. He just was, a little terrified.
It was justified, which rarely happens. Like,
Yeah.
all right, like he was a little green going in, and then he had to survive, and now that he
Over
survived,
those
he's
48
pissed off.
hours,
Yeah,
all that
so-
fear kind of washed away. I think he became numb
Yeah.
to it at that point. Kind of like, what you would expect in that
He
awful
that
has
was
his
situation.
tier 1 status.
Tier 1 status, man.
Tier
Sounds
one
cool.
status.
It was a very cool scene, them going in there. So I have like 3 questions for you guys, but I don't want to like jump the gun before Cornelius asks. But I really did
okay.
enjoy when they went into the camp, Shug and what's his name? Liam? What was his
They
name?
called him. Oh my
Playboy.
god,
J-Tag.
Playboy.
Oops.
Playboy.
Fruit Loops, Playboy, whatever.
JJ.
he had a lot of
his name on-
nicknames.
yeah.
Yeah, when they went into the camp, that was super cool. Like, especially the above ground section when they were like going through the TV scene with the knife. Like, there were some really cool moments in the pool, like the little like waiting pool. So I thought those were shot really well and like super.
Actually,
Did make a note about that filming of. I said the first firefight. That's it. Like the cinematography or whatever you want to call it was very good. Yeah. Well, my serious question was, what did you think of like the scenes that they were trying to make really tense, like the scene with the dog, or the scene where, the evac, like certain scenes they were trying to like really. I thought they got the tension pretty well on this. Like, not that I thought they were going to get him, but I've seen that before. You know, the dog finds him and then the guy doesn't.
I actually have a question about that scene. Were those guys weren't looking for him, right? They just happened to be like going that way. And
I believe
and that's why they weren't like investigating what the dog was barking about, right?
I think they were meeting up because two of them were on a car and like two of them were on horseback.
Right, but I don't think that any of those people were like on the hunt for a guy like this soldier. They just happened to be going that way, right?
That's what it seemed like.
Okay, because at first I was like, why the heck wouldn't they be checking with the dog? And I was like, oh, these guys aren't looking for it. These are just guys that are just out. That, you know, obviously he doesn't want to cross paths with them. They wouldn't go well, but like they're not looking for anybody.
Even the staff sergeant, I actually just saw her for a second on the screen. She was like, oh, you have incoming from both sides. And then I think Russell Crowe said they have weapons. So they just assumed because they had weapons, they were hostile. So I could see where, but I agree. I don't think they were.
That was a great team, man. Like,
that
was a good team up.
Oh yeah.
Good casting.
Yeah, they were good. Even their little happy ending at the end, I thought was kind of sweet.
You knew it was happy. You knew it was going to come.
Oh, I knew. As soon as she said she had a question for him, I knew what the question was going to be.
Yeah, of course.
I'm a cynic. I was like, oh, she's going to ask him not to come to the wedding.
Yeah,
that's what I thought. No. That's what I thought. I was like, oh man.
This every single thing that it's like, oh, this would make the most sense was the thing that happened in this movie most of the time. Yep. It was like
at that point though, when she said it, there was not enough to go on. So
that's fair. But like
me being pessimistic, I was like, that's where I went. As it went on, I'm like, I'm probably wrong.
She was like, oh, I have a question to ask you about the wedding. I was like, oh, she wants him to walk her down the aisle. It was the same thing with like
actually my misconception in the first start of this movie was that Russell Crowe was I'm so sorry. Russell Crowe was the asset. That's what I thought at the very, very start of the movie, because they were talking about going to rescue someone and then they cut to Russell Crowe. And so like I thought, oh man, they're gonna go rescue him. And then he's talking about his life on this army base. I'm like, what? And obviously, I figured it out very shortly. I was super confused at first.
That's funny.
However, did you know who the asset was? Like when they were.
No.
I thought the asset was the guy that the other big guy shot. I didn't know, but before he cut off his wife's head and stuff, I thought that was the asset.
No.
I didn't realize it's.
I was a little confused there.
I was under the impression that we didn't see the asset, but they mentioned the way they talked about it, I thought the asset had just been killed off screen somewhere.
Same thing. Because they kind of alluded to it, like, oh, now they know here they're rushing toward him.
So I was like, oh, so that guy, their mission is already, like, I just thought, like, oh, their mission got blown up, that guy got killed, they failed.
Yeah.
I didn't even think much of it.
Okay, because I was curious, and then at the end, whatever, you find which I don't want to get to the end just yet because I have some questions for you, but when they find the asset, I was like, oh, okay.
Well,
I know, I was also like, oh, what a, I mean, it was that
Russell
happy
Crowe's
ending.
Partner. So I'm sorry. Russell Crowe's partner says in the middle of the movie, like the CIA or the DIA has, the asset's in somewhere else, so like halfway across the world. And then,
well, I thought they said the message said that like the asset, they thought like the asset was gone or something. So that's why I thought like they had died.
Yeah.
But then Russell Crowe was like, they don't know what they're talking about, and he was right.
Right.
All right, before I get to questions about the ending, 66, you had some stuff for us. I love that when people. I was gonna ask you up top. I don't have many questions about this one, but I was hoping you
Okay.
guys came prepared.
I do. I have three questions. One, how did Suge find Playboy when he got captured? Like, was he following him the entire time? Like, what the
Okay.
heck happened there?
I think he needed him. I think that's why, because he knew he was still alive. He was following all the chaos, right? Because there was a little bit of chaos for a little bit, and I think he was following him.
Yeah,
That was the one part that took me out a little bit.
But then also he could have just been trying to go to the rendezvous point because he knew where it was, right?
Yeah, I
knew
thought it was just like very good fortune that he like was heading in the same direction and saw, kind of like Walter was alluding to, like some sort of chaos or something, and he was like, "Oh, good," because you have to assume that he probably lost his bearings after that explosion, because like,
Sure.
and he saw, what was the dude that got captured? Bishop. He saw Bishop get captured. So he knew that. So he must have hung around the camp for a little bit. He couldn't have been following Playboy the whole time. So I think like at some point, like Bishop got captured and then he was like, crap, I think Playboy might still be out there. I got to go and try and find out like if I have someone to help me get Bishop. So I think he just went out to like hopefully find him. And I think that a bit far-fetched, but I think it just worked out.
What just happened? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't really want Bishop. He wanted Bishop's backup, which is the drone and everything. He didn't really care to have
Bishop
that
was
guy.
the soldier that got captured.
Oh no, I'm sorry. Playboy. He didn't care about
Kinney.
Playboy.
I think
He
Kinney
wanted
was his
backup.
name, right? Playboy Kinney.
I have no idea.
I don't know.
They called him
All right.
Playboy so much.
Well, because
So sorry. go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, Sugar he was like had no pack. He had like nothing left. He had like one handgun and like,
Yeah.
but that I thought that maybe was a ruse to get in there, and then he just left with like his T-shirt for the rest of the movie. So,
Well,
I like how he
probably
put the
guns on
orange
Playboys.
T-shirt on Playboy too. He's like, wear the brightest color just in case.
I don't want to lose you. All right, go 66. What's your second
I was
one?
so confused about the 3 bomb intervals because at the end of the movie, is this?
Yeah,
part of
no,
your
we're
question?
good. No, this is not part of my question, but I can see where
Are
you
you
might be going. Yes, this is
Okay.
not part of it.
So the first 2 were supposed to be distractions, and the third one was supposed to be blow it all to heck.
Yep.
Okay, so the first one was a distraction, right?
Mhm.
You didn't really feel it. The second one, if Playboy wasn't in that tub, I feel like he would have died.
That
Oh,
is
yeah.
one of my questions. That was one of my things. You're right.
So
I wrote
and
that
was
down.
The second one. So
But
that was confusing to me because that should have been a second distraction, not.
Yeah.
right?
You're right. But also, like, he didn't envision them getting captured and being trapped down there. So, like, that would have worked as a distraction if it didn't hit. Like, he didn't think that they were going to be down there very long. Like, he thought they were going to get in, get down there, and get out. So, like, the odds of it hitting at the very moment that they were getting in and out, at the time, like, it should have worked. But because they got captured, he got thrown in that cell for basically the whole window of time, then he had no way of avoiding. And he also thought, like, oh, like, I'll be able to call in again if I need to. Like, just if the plan had gone the way it was supposed to go, they would have had more control over the situation rather than just being trapped down there. And that's why he was trying to tell them, like, right away. He was like, hey, there are bombs that are going to go off here. Like, he knew, like, the first one hit, and he was like, we're all about to get blown up.
Yep.
Yeah, so I thought the same thing. I thought, oh, how lucky it was that he was in that tub. And then I wrote, usually that's like the God in the machine, like that's like, oh, this has to happen or he'll. But for some reason, in this particular situation, I was like, oh, they wrote themselves out of a hole pretty well in this one.
Well,
Except
True.
were his hands out of the tub?
Yes,
Okay.
that's exactly. I was like, his hands should have been incinerated.
But also, like, yes, it was very fortunate that he was in the tub, but no one else died in that explosion.
Oh,
People
that
got,
was
like,
my
knocked
next
down,
thing.
But every other person was also alive afterwards.
My next thing was, how did they all survive?
Yeah,
And then-
exactly. So, like, yeah, like, initially it was like, oh, thank God he was in the tub, otherwise he would have died. And it was like, wait a minute, no one died. They're all there.
And then
Well,
my
the
other
2 guys holding him down were dead.
Yeah.
I guess they did die. But
Well,
the
I
guy
think
who was
the little
standing right
soldiers, I
there
think,
was
died.
fine.
My other question with that was, wouldn't the ground have been really hot for him to be running around? That's my dumb movie moment.
Barefoot?
Just barefoot and naked after the fire went through the whole cavern. But yes, those were three things on my ending. The tub, but I liked it. The ground, everything should have been super hot. And how did everybody that we needed to survive that giant fireball through the tunnel? So
Yeah.
that was my ending. And I think we're all on the same
I'm
page.
sorry. I didn't mean to like.
No, I'm glad we
Yeah.
we
Wait, you
really
have
all
one
thought
more?
the same thing. Yeah,
What
you
you
have one
said?
more question.
I do have one more. Okay, and this is the thing that bothered me the most about the movie.
Ooh.
Ooh.
There is no way in the world that a professional U.S. base, whatever military division it is, would not have a dedicated phone person for people to call in. There's no way that it would just be in the rec room where one of the superior officers is watching NCAA. It's just impossible that situation. No, I loved it. Okay, but it's impossible. So please, tell me, what did you think about this?
What I don't understand is why was he calling that number? Like, why wasn't like?
So
It seemed like the only number to call.
well,
But
I
it wasn't
think
like there were other connections. Like, because Russell Crowe, he's like, no,
Playboy
you got to call
called
this
it.
other guy.
No, Playboy called it. Then Russell Crowe called it. His wife was calling it. Like everyone was calling that phone.
I think there was a sentence where Russell Crowe, when he was talking about, he's like, if you're ever in Vegas, called it. He said something and asked for Reaper. So that was my only connection earlier, where he calls and says it's Reaper there. So I'm thinking that was the only number he could remember in the moment. But that is my making connections that I hope are there in the movie.
I mean, he was great at remembering numbers. He got the cell phone number down right away. Like every time someone gave him a phone number, he's like freaking Dustin Hoffman and Rain Man.
It didn't even look like he was like talking into the receiver. So I'm like, he didn't even hear all the numbers.
I know. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, is he gonna remember that? Did he even get that? Like, and then right away, like, oh yeah, no problem, got it. Like,
I let that slide. I just can't believe that it's everything is like so dependent on a rec room phone, and that the superior officer was like that into and not that strict about. Like, this is a freaking U.S. military base where there's drone strikes. Like,
my assumption is that's the like civilian line, you know, because if you want to talk to the drone operator, you have to make a bottle radio, which also I thought was kind of a cool moment. So like there are direct lines. However, my assumption is that's the civilian line. But then again, you're right. If he was in so much trouble,
Reaper would have had the direct connect. If anybody would have.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm curious.
You're not wrong.
I'm curious how many missions they are responsible for that, like, where there's this level of like timing and combat necessary, because it didn't seem like any of them were prepared for what this mission entailed. Like, so that's also part of why I was like, oh man, these guys, have you guys seen most of the time seems like they have a pretty chill job.
Jack Ryan has this, right? Like, did you guys watch that?
Which one?
Yeah, I've seen the movie.
No, Jack Ryan with Jim Halpert.
Oh no, I haven't seen this show.
I've only seen a couple seasons. First season or two.
Yeah, but there's these drone operators in that, and it's pretty intense.
Okay.
So
these guys did not seem like they were prepared for anything very intense.
They thought this was going to be a very simple mission.
I like how
simple. Go in and to someone's base and get an asset with 4 people. Yeah, very simple.
I like right out the gate when he's like, "Hey, you got a Halo training?" He's like, "Nah." He's like, "All right, well, we're at." He did a great job though. He landed right where he needed to. I don't know how.
That is true.
I would have ended up like in the ocean and drowned. Like, I don't know how did he pull that off if he had 0 training.
Luck.
Well, you guys did not make me feel any better about the phone situation.
No,
we weren't.
Sorry.
Well,
sorry, go ahead, Walter.
It was very helpful for the movie. I was going to say it was very good plot point in this particular movie,
was
but you're right.
awesome for the movie. It was
Yeah.
I
great
mean,
movie.
I just don't find it that hard to believe that that level of ineptitude would exist. So it didn't really surprise me.
Oh, okay.
Surprised me.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go.
It
I
did
agree.
surprise me.
I was
Okay,
just kind
so
of like, yeah, that does seem like a stupid thing that would actually happen.
Yeah.
I actually have one more thing that I forgot that I wrote down. Why did the bad guys keep them alive?
To film them. To film them
Did they?
killing them.
I mean, that asset was alive for a while. And the dude that what was his name that they went after?
Bishop?
Shug Bishop was alive for longer than
Yeah,
Shug
Bishop was down there for a while. I don't know. That's a good.
I wish.
Good question.
They
Yeah.
were
I
trying to get
assume they-
information out of them, weren't they?
I mean, we
Maybe.
assume that was my
Yeah.
assumption. Yeah.
And he only
Although
killed
it didn't
Shug.
seem like. I guess the only information they were looking for is if there were more soldiers out there. That was all they were asking Hemsworth about.
True. Yeah.
With a lot of these movies, they fall into that trope, right? Where our I don't want to say whatever. The team we're following. I'm not gonna specify, but the team we're following kills like 100 dudes.
Yeah.
But then when they get captured, they're like, "I hate you, but we're gonna talk for a bit."
Yeah.
Like, but
Actually,
it
was
has
kinda
to
cool.
happen.
It was
It
a
has
kind
to
of cool
happen, so,
moment, like when
yeah.
when the quote unquote bad guy got to sit down with Liam Hemsworth and actually have a one-on-one conversation. Like that conversation was kind of meaningful too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're right. Because
Good
these
writing.
were faceless. They're not comparing them like stormtroopers or like ninjas, but like this is the faceless bad guys of an army movie. They're just walking around with like their face covered, and they just have all nondescript information about them. So
But I feel like,
you know,
yeah, I feel like they just were gonna like, hold them, torture them. Like, I mean, it's a thing that happens. I don't know what the objective is other than just to torture your enemy.
which they might also want to do. That's
Yeah.
they're
And send
evil.
it.
They're more evil. Yeah, sadistic and all that kind of jazz.
Well, they're
I mean,
brainwashed to
today,
believe
like-
that like our soldiers are truly the evil ones too.
Correct. Yeah.
Especially because we're like he was saying, we're just bombing them. We're
Yeah.
having a faceless confrontation, and
It's true.
I don't know. That was a pretty poignant conversation. I thought.
Yeah.
Before I go into one of my one of my last questions here, but was there any other questions? I think we touched on the major points we all had, but
I have one.
Sorry, those were mine.
ooh, go Walter.
No.
What do you got? No, I like those.
Where was the supermarket that Russell Crowe was in?
Within 2 minutes of the base.
Dude,
Within
yes.
2 minutes of the base.
Dude,
I know
because
that.
I'm like, there's no way he would have gotten back. I don't care if it was next door.
It would take me that
I
long to get
apologize.
back in my car, especially if I was
Exactly.
the
The
size
car's-
of Mr. Crowe.
And no offense, man, but you're not running fast enough to get through
That's
the
what I'm
base.
saying.
I'm
He's
assuming the
a-
base is pretty
Well,
big.
he is Fred Flintstone.
Wait. He didn't even make the joke about like the very slow moving gate. He's like, "Can we get
Yeah.
a faster gate?" Or like he was just
Yeah.
like. And
Yeah.
not only that, my favorite part of that was he parked in what looked like a parking spot. Like he should have just like threw his car somewhere. He parked all nice and shut the door. I was like, "No, get the hell out of
Dude.
there, bro."
There's no way he would have made it.
No chance.
That's
I
funny.
had that same thought when it was like 2 minutes or 2 mics.
Actually,
I learned that mics
means
means minutes.
Yes, I
Apparently.
thought that was interesting. I want to pivot
Well,
this to a
makes sense,
movie
though.
question, though. I want to pivot this to a movie question overall. Time in movies. Sometimes it's super accurate, and sometimes it's not accurate for the purpose of a movie. Like you said, do you really think it took him 2 minutes to leave the grocery store, drive there, wait for the gate? Like, no.
Yeah.
But what do you prefer? Do you prefer when it's more accurate, or do you prefer when it serves the movie?
More
You know what I mean?
accurate. Because they could have still done it, let's say, okay, maybe 4 minutes.
That's what I
Then
was
it
just
makes
gonna
it
say. Like,
believable.
Okay.
I feel
Okay.
like you can have it both ways, where it's like, just give me like enough time where like I'm not gonna know if he can make it back in like 6 or 8 minutes, but like 2, I know he's not making it back in 2.
Maybe if he
Yeah.
was in better shape. Maybe.
Still not.
2 minutes. 2 minutes. Can't do anything in 2 minutes.
So that because that's like I said, that's something that happens a lot. Sometimes it's like super accurate, and you're like, oh my god, it's really been only 30 seconds, whatever. But sometimes the bomb is like ticking down for 30 minutes of the movie. like all right.
We just saw a movie about that where wasn't it like 10 minutes for a long time? What movie was it? Was it Godzilla's? Was it Godzilla? I don't know. There was one, and we made that comment like that was the longest.
I think
time.
Oh, what movie was it? You're right. It might have been Godzilla where things were just taken. But then again, you could play with it in a creative way, like Inception, where he's falling for like the entire movie. So, if it fits the movie, I'm cool with it. But yeah, sometimes it could be like you both said, it could be accurate and serve the purpose you're trying to serve. So it's like just because it's 2 minutes and you're like, oh my god, 2 minutes, he's got to get there fast. Yeah, but that's too fast.
That's too fast. Like legitimately, like the time it takes me to like leave my apartment and get down into my car, that's longer than 2 minutes.
That's very true. I did have one thing that I wanted to ask you about in terms of what did you think of the juxtaposition of him being tortured and Russell Crowe shopping? At first, it bothered me, and as it kept going, I liked it more. Is that weird?
I felt the exact same way. At first, I was like, "Oh, this is silly," and then I was like, "No, you know what? This works."
Like at first, I thought it was like silly because like, all right, he's getting tortured, and he's like, "Where's my vegan cheese and stuff?" I'm like, all right. But then, as I saw what they were doing,
that was really funny.
When I saw what they were doing, I was like, "Oh, I like this more. Like, keep it."
Yeah.
The more it happened, the better it was for me. It was really weird.
Agree.
I feel like I've been going down like rabbit holes of what's really important in life, and when you look at stuff and it's like, oh yeah, I need this like very specific product at this very high end supermarket, or even if it's just a regular supermarket. And it's like this other guy is in a jungle getting tortured. So it's like the dichotomy there. It just really makes you think, what the heck is important in life? And I thought it was pretty brilliant, actually. I mean, I use brilliant loosely in this movie because it's not like it is Inception or something like that. But I thought it was good. I enjoyed it.
I kind of agree. I mean, it was very
a loose brilliance.
It was but it was done like very well, and it was like I said. At first, I was like, "All right, I get it," and then I was like, "Oh wait, I get what they're doing." I was like, "Wow."
And you got to respect after being awake for like 30 straight hours, being like, "Oh, I guess I'll pop over to the grocery store on my way home."
That was what I thought when I first saw it.
I would never, even if my pregnant wife was at home desperately waiting for groceries, I'd be like, "Well, you're gonna get them in 12 hours when I wake up."
I mean, he did pop open a Red Bull, didn't he?
I was gonna through all of your screaming, so it will not be a problem.
He was gonna buy, but yeah, so maybe that's why I didn't like it, because he was falling asleep at his chair, but then he was like slowly.
He was having a great time, and once he got to the supermarket, maybe he was delirious at that point.
So yeah, maybe he was delirious. That would have been all right. So yeah, that was my only thing. It was like such a weird feeling for me as a moviegoer, where I was like, all right, it's kind of silly, I get it, and then I was like, oh wait, I really like what they did. It was such a weird roll of the dice for me.
It was another suspenseful addition to the movie, though, because you're like, fuck, man, if he was in that chair, or shit, if he was just know what was going on. So I thought it just added to the tension and suspension.
So I did like it.
I did have another question. Did they get another drone out there?
Yeah, they said that.
They did.
Didn't they?
They said okay, because I wasn't sure.
They said there was another one locked and loaded and ready to go.
Okay.
They did
because initially, like, it had to go back for repairs, but then, like, after like everything went terribly, then they were able to get the drone back out.
Okay, that's
after
what I was like.
It didn't help anymore, but then they were able to use it later.
Okay, because I'm like, how did they fire if they had no more ammo left?
Yeah,
no, that was a plane.
Yeah.
No,
No, there was a drone and a plane.
There was both.
There was the drone.
Yeah, they were both.
Then it went back, and then the drone came back out. Then the drone was Winchester, which means out of ammo,
empty. Which I think is a clever way. It's
pretty clever.
I know.
Yeah, one shot, I get it. But but then the end, the 3 bombs at the end were all from a plane, correct?
So But that happened
Yeah.
twice in the movie. So I
Yeah.
think the drone only has a certain payload, but the big payload is from the plane.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
it seemed like. So that's what they did
Yeah.
at the beginning and the end,
Yeah.
which ties things in. It's great. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of things came back, a lot of things tied
The
in, a lot of
TV,
things.
the March Madness, the phone, like everything was tied
Yeah.
in.
It was pretty good. Pretty good.
Also,
yeah.
I did have one other thought so Reaper's co-pilot, partner, whatever she was,
Yeah.
she must have been working the same amount of time as him, but she seemed to still be hanging out at the base after he left. So does she just work like a
True.
48-hour shift, and that's just no problem for her?
Yeah, right. Man,
She's
I hate
younger.
that you got. I enjoyed this movie, but I hate that as we're talking, like I keep
Oh.
things that.
No, I mean they're little things. None
Yeah.
of that like ruined the movie for me. It's just little things. I'm like, I don't know if that makes sense, but whatever.
Well-
I'm having a good time.
Like I
Ruined
started
my
off this whole
childhood.
thing. I started the whole thing with I didn't have any notes, and that was a good thing. I had one note that didn't even like really make sense, like why he was there in the first place. I'm like, well, that's because it's a movie. Like,
Yeah.
let's move on.
Every movie is going to have some like plot holes here and there. As long as it's not like critical to the plot, those are the ones that kill me. If like your whole plot is a plot hole, then I'm like, this is unforgivable. But, like the little things, the little misses, like what are you going to do? It's always going to happen. It's not real life.
Yeah.
True.
So I think I'm curious. I'm really curious about the ratings, but let me tell you what everyone else had first.
Me too. I still have
So right now, so IMDb on average 6.6 out of 10. Critics exactly the same, if you want to call it that, 66%. But the audience was the audience was a 94%, which I think they're on our side. The audience here, it was like straightforward. Let's go for the ride. So I have a feeling we're going to be somewhat similar. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what the ratings are. We'll see if anyone out there wants to share their ratings. But I get all right. Since 66 might not be 100% ready, we'll go in the same order I started. We'll go with Ryan the Lion.
Yeah, I think, like I said, it's a straightforward movie. I had fun. I thought that the acting was solid. Milo Ventimiglia was a saving grace in my opinion. Russell Crowe was great. I think everyone did a nice job. I think that simple enough plot, cool action. I'm gonna go with 7 bananas.
All right. I'm not gonna tell you, but so far we're what I'm thinking we're gonna be. Go ahead, Walter.
All right, hold on. Here's my 10-sided dice. I don't think you can see it. Here you go. Here's my
Alright.
10-sided dice. All right, let's see what it says. I
There's
can't
no
agree with
way
that.
you can give it a 1.
It was a 4, but I can't give that. That's not accurate.
Be harsh.
That's I did enjoy this movie. There are a little bit of problems here and there, but nothing like too dramatic or too unforgiving. Nothing like that. So the acting was really good. It kept me engaged. I wasn't on my phone majority of the time, like a lot of the movies. So it was good. Yeah.
True.
I'm gonna go a little higher than Ryan, but not at too much. 7.5.
All right. 7.5. Do you want another minute?
No, go ahead.
You want my dice?
No, I don't need your dice, but I will say that I literally before coming into here, I was between a 7 and a 7.5. So I made a rule on this show. We don't do like in betweens, but I'm gonna go with the higher because I did enjoy this. This was like I said, no expectations. I came in and I was like, all right, so I'm gonna go with 7.5. I think that the action was filmed very good. The plot was straightforward, and that's what this movie needed. And yeah, cool, grounded action. So yeah, I think this one was worth it. I liked it a lot. So 7.5 bananas.
Nice. I don't want to like just completely echo what you guys are saying, but dude, I mean, it's not Inception, right? It's not the greatest movie of all time. This should not be up there in the 8s, 9s, and 10s. But I think just because of what's been coming out in cinema and social media, like streaming lately, this is just I can't believe I'm saying that this movie is a breath of fresh air because this straightforward plot that really got me into the movie. It was suspenseful. I liked the characters. I felt emotionally connected to them. I want to give it what everybody else was giving it and say like a 66%, but I'm not allowed to do that because because I'm 66 and I really want to give it a 6.6. I'll give it the benefit of the doubt just because everything else has really been disappointing lately, and I'll say 7 bananas.
All right. Wow. I know all of you asked for our ratings.
Than I should have.
Yeah, but everyone asked for our ratings.
And a 7, but the more we talk about it, I was like, no, you know what? I did have a good time watching this.
Yes.
I don't care that he should have like lost his hands when he was in the tub. That's fine. Whatever.
Whatever.
Like, it was fun. It was fun. And when everyone asked me for like some of our previous ratings earlier today or earlier this week, I'm like, man, I think this one actually might turn out pretty good for us, which is pretty.
It's been rough.
Pretty surprising. Yeah, I think so.
Frozen 2.
Oh man.
Oh.
Oh bam.
Mine's fine.
Well, we made it to our ratings, but we didn't get me saying. I think I'm still on, so I could just say.
Wait, I'm still there.
Everyone's there, but Walter. Walter froze.
Oh, yeah, it is just Walter.
Terrible.
I feel like you froze from California. You froze me in Florida. I don't know how.
But well,
there's no connection.
We can end it there. I would say this was pretty good. I would say check it out, and I don't know. There's really not too much bad. We all had pretty good reviews on this one, which I don't know. Maybe go into it with no expectations. Army movie, had some fun, and then come back and let us know your banana rating. Come back, like us, share this video, and come back for Deadpool Wolverine is probably the next one.
Oh, I forgot! I'm so excited.
So I think it's gonna be pretty cool. So enjoy, and we'll see you in the next one.
Quack you next
Walter
time.
Can't have any cool comments because he's not here.
But everyone's gonna hate it because we liked it. Watch.
Everyone's gonna hate Land of Bad?
Yeah.
No.
Oh. Yeah, 94% audience.
Yeah.
I mean, and